Welcome, friends. I'm Gina Nicole, and this is the Goddess Channel. And in this space, I bring you messages and frequency downloads from Spirit that your soul is calling in to accelerate your healing journey, integrate 5D consciousness, and awaken the goddess within. We're going to begin today with the download of the week that I channeled, and actually, I skipped a couple of weeks because I channeled a bunch of messages in a row, and I'm skipping over a couple of them to bring you the one that I really feel like is the energy of today. So we're going to do that. Then I'm going to pull some oracle cards for you. And finally, we'll check in with the goddesses, ascended masters, archangels, and spirit guides that we work with to just see if there's a final message, healing, clearing, whatever needs to come in for us today. So thank you for being here. Thank you for co-creating this experience, because when all of our energy comes together, that's why we're able to create these shifts and draw in these messages and downloads and upgrades. So let's get started. And this week's message, and you're going to see me looking down because I, furiously write these messages down into my phone when they drop in so that I can record them later. So I'm going to read verbatim this message for you. And today's message is leaving the matrix behind. And what I've noticed is a lot of these messages dropping in have been around finding our own path, our own light, our own choices, while being surrounded by a collective consciousness that is not of the same vibration, right? I'm sure you know exactly what I'm saying. Spirit wants to bring in these messages to cut through the noise, remind us of who we are, and give us the perspective, the courage, and the independence to choose what is in alignment for us. And like we talked about a little bit last week, this is very typical of the Aquarian age. Rugged individualism in a sense, and I would say radical individualism, but within a humanitarian context. So notice if you're seeing that in the world around you, emerging in particular voices that are cutting through that noise. An example of that type of person is the new mayor of New York who got elected, whose message was completely Aquarian, completely about that. And so this is really about us being able to be authentic and be nonconformist and allow our perspective, our voice, our truth to cut through the noise of what is coming in from the external world. So in today's message, we're talking about leaving the thought matrix behind. Because the matrix idea that has been kind of popularized lately in, conspiracy theories and different things like that, it's really a thought matrix. It's the collective unconsciousness that's formed by ancestral patterns, beliefs, behaviors that become ingrained and passed on. And that's what forms our individual paradigm or worldview. And it's upheld in the collectives we can see in, patriarchal, hierarchical, and fear-based systems that have created a sort of OS, right? Like a software, an operating system that we operate from until we consciously reinstall a new system. So notice, this all comes from thought, conscious and subconscious. This is an experience we are living in of consciousness. So the matrix is not a place or a realm like in the movie. It's only as real as the thoughts that uphold it at any given time. If just 1% of the planet got on the frequency of love at the same time, compassion, forgiveness, grace, simultaneously, the whole thought structure of anything other than that would collapse. So just notice, we are in a thought universe, we are in a thought consciousness, and our thoughts are feeding into that. So when we shift our thinking, conscious and unconscious, and notice thoughts are patterns, beliefs, conscious thoughts, unconscious thoughts, all of it. That's the key. And that's what we're seeing occur now in a more prolonged way as more and more beings wake up to their own power, to choose light, to choose love, to think on those levels, be curious on those levels. So this message comes in to remind you that you are completely empowered to rewrite your software. You are completely empowered to rewrite your software through your thinking, your feeling, your actions, how you move through the world. Exiting the matrix is not some big revolution. It is a revolution in one thought, here and now, then the next. It is that profoundly simple. Now, what I want to say here is this can feel very strategic or push energy kind of based, where it's like now we become monitoring of our thoughts. That's not it either. You're not here to monitor every thought and make sure it's love and light. That's kind of an old-fashioned way of thinking. This is actually about what we talked about last week. Pause, be still, create space, and now be discerning about how you want to operate. Maybe letting ideas drop in, maybe just being with the breath. Maybe you have kind of a intense reaction to something that doesn't feel aligned to you, and then you pause and breathe and you do a redo or you correct that. So this is not about like monitoring yourself all the time and being perfect in your thinking. It's just about knowing you have the power. You can be and think and exist any way that you want. And so notice how that elevates your energy instantly. So maybe for you, it's less about, let me focus on every single thought I'm having. And maybe it's just, let me just be carried by my own freedom that I'm recognizing I have. And let's see how I want to feel, how I want to think, how I want to be. Just getting curious is a hugely expansive vibration. So I know as I'm kind of channeling this message, the words may not be 100% making logical sense to you. That's often how channeled transmissions come through, when it's more energetic than really the words that matter. So just let this energy wash through for you. Let it settle for you. You can listen to this again if you feel like you want to grasp it more consciously. But more than that, notice the feeling. Maybe it's about operating from a different feeling or sense of yourself or way of moving. Maybe it's just slowing down 5%, and that puts you in a completely different experience of yourself and your life. So I guess the bottom line here is get curious about how this shift might look for you and think outside the box for that. So that's your message for the week. And now we're going to go into an oracle card. The oracle card that was really calling to me, the deck that was calling me today, was the Enchanted map by Colette Reid. And it's sort of funny because it called to me and then I was like, no, I don't really want to use that deck today. And then it just like called to me again. So I was like, okay, we're using this deck today. So let's see what comes out for us. What message is here for us today, Spirit? All right. Ooh. I think it just represents what we've been talking about already, because we have the gentle gardener and we have talisman. And so I'm not going to go to the guidebooks for these messages because I want to just interpret this of how it's coming through for us today. So with the gentle gardener, get it out of the light. There we go. With the gentle gardener, you can see the ancestors looking down and tending to the earth plane with love and grace and compassion. I'm getting such a gentle presence, and it says gentle in the card. And look at these little beings just sort of emerging onto this earth plane in their innocence. And spirit and the ancestors are tending to them. So you can see yourself as the being on this earth plane who is completely loved and held and cared for by spirit, by your ancestors. Or you can see yourself as the guide, as the wise one, as the higher self that is tending to your own humanity. And I think it's both and all. So that's beautiful. And so we get to connect to those parts of us that know how to do that know how to think, be, and do and receive how we want to. And we're also supported by spirit, by our spirit guides. And of course, always use the word that lands with you. I use spirit a lot, but I also use God, the universe, consciousness, infinite intelligence, all that is. It doesn't even have to be spiritual. Although if you're on this channel, it probably is for you. So I love that card, the Gentle Gardener. It's all about what we just spoke about, how we want to be as the gentle gardeners in our own lives by exiting the matrix, right? That has kind of told us that life has to be something other than that. And then talisman. To me, this can have a lot of meanings, but the message that's coming through today is actually profoundly simple. This is about the innate divine perfection in every moment. As you saw in that last card, spirit is literally breathing life into this world. There's a symphony here to existence. There's a divine orchestration, you might call it. And so talisman is about how we ground that sort of infinite intelligence, that infinite divine symphony of beingness, this perfect dance of creation that we're a part of. How we actually are players in that, how we actually attune to that, how we see ourselves as co-creators in that, and how we dance with the world, dance with creation in our own individual expression. Talisman is the wizard, right? Talisman is the wise being, the medicine woman, that being who walks between worlds, spirit and form. But in the Aquarian age, it's really about there is no more between worlds. It's all one experience. We are spirit and form, and we experience that simultaneously. And so talisman is really drawing in that depth and drawing in that empowerment that we began speaking about in this video, where we are that being, we're the talisman, we are the gentle gardener. We have the power in this realm that we're a part of. And yet there's more than us that is supporting us as well. So it can feel a bit paradoxical in a sense, but just find peace in that, in the mystery, I don't know, maybe you're not like me, but I fall in love with the mystery of spirit. I fall in love with the idea that there is paradox to this reality, and it's romantic, it's beautiful. And when you can embrace that and let yourself ride that wave of creation, letting yourself exit from, like we talked about, hierarchical systems of control and order that are arbitrarily on this planet and that we've taken as fact that aren't. And you get to pave your own way now in the Aquarian age. That's what this is about. So I know I'm saying a lot of words, but there's a lot of energy coming through here. So just kind of let that land with you. And after this call, my invitation would be, after this video, after you watch this video, my invitation would be, just get curious. What is emerging for me from that transmission I just received? And you might have some inspiration, some ideas, some thoughts, some feelings come through for you. Maybe you might want to journal after this. That might be a great exercise. All right. Now, I'm actually being called to one more deck, and I think this deck is called the Truth deck. And this is I want to give you you know what? I'm going to tag the creators down below. I'll tag I'll put their website in the description box. They have their own website. I think you can also get their decks on Etsy, but they're wonderful, and I'll get the names for you. But this is just a clarifier deck. And I love this deck because it's just like I think it's like 100 cards or like 80 cards or something. It's all clarifiers. So the card that came out for us is, it's not personal. And 6 is a heart-centered number. 6 is about heart energy. It's not personal. So any part of you that in order to grow, you need to let go of taking things personally. And when we take things personally, it's because we have some shame or guilt or doubt about ourselves. It's not the other people. They're triggering how we feel about ourselves. And that's why we take things personally, whether they are or not. And by the way, it kind of never is, as Don Miguel Ruiz talks about in the 4 Agreements. But what can you let go of today that you've been taking personally? And what needs to be let go of how you think about yourself in order to stop taking things personally? And just know that everybody's just living their own path, and it never has anything to do with you. They're just trying to figure out their own stuff, and sometimes we might receive it as something about us. But even when people are trying to make it about us, it's because they're feeling triggered on the inside and they're projecting, right? We all do that to some degree on different parts of our journey. But notice, what do I need to let go of that I think about me in order to stop taking things personally? That's a beautiful one. So thank you. Now, we're just going to go into the energy, and we're going to invite, and Kuan Yin is here with us immediately. Kuan Yin and Archangel Michael are actually here with us right now. We're going to go into the energy here and see what they have for us. Archangel Metatron and Mother Mary are also here. These are like the patrons of this channel, right? We're always channeling through them. So let's see. And my main guide, Lord Ganesha, is here with us as well, who usually never pops in on this channel. Is usually very much a background presence in my world, but he's making his presence known here as well as Lakshmi. They're showing, Ganesha's really, really strong here right now. They're showing me the elephant, and they're showing me an emerald. And there's no words that are coming in right now. So the talisman, and I don't know why I'm being called to use this word again, but the talisman, like I said, the talisman is the wizard, but the talisman is also a sacred spiritual object that helps us connect to spiritual power. We have a talisman that is the emerald elephant today. That's what they're trying to tell us, that's the talisman, the gift that is helping us elevate our own consciousness, shift what needs to be shifted in each of us in this community today through the energy of this emerald elephant. And so we're just going to let this energy come in, and notice you may be a type of person that really feels energy, or you just feel nothing. And either way is fine. And actually the way I channel, the intention is always to be like very gentle and unnoticeable, so that when you listen to these videos, you're not having to process afterwards. It's actually meant to shift over time in a way that's gentle and perfect for you. And you may notice that you just shift in your thinking, you're feeling. Maybe you do something different. Maybe you notice something different. Maybe a different opportunity shows up. Who knows? But we're just going to let whatever wants to shift in our fields shift with the gift of this emerald elephant. The energetics of that, the frequency that they're bringing through for us that is represented in this emerald elephant. And it kind of reminds me of how this came in as this talisman energy. It reminds me of there's a specific type of astrology. And gosh, I wish I could remember the name. Something that starts with an S, I think. But it's a type of astrology where every sort of astrological transit has a symbol that describes it perfectly. Like it might be the gentle gardener tending to the hay as the sun sets on the horizon. And that might represent a particular transit of Jupiter or something like that. So that's what this kind of feels like to me, is this emerald elephant that's come in is capturing a particular frequency that's here for us today. Let's just breathe here together, maybe placing a hand on your heart, letting yourself relax into this energy. And they're saying that this is cosmic. So this frequency that's coming in is a cosmic frequency that's mostly coming through the Pleiades and Andromeda. And I'm feeling called to stay in this energy for a bit, so I might keep talking or I might just go silent. But you can also feel free to replay this and just leave it on very low volume if you just want to receive the energy. Sometimes that can be nice for sleep and things like that. Beautiful. Now there's another energy that's coming in as a hummingbird. So whereas the energy of the emerald and the elephant feels a very earth energy, very grounded, very sort of Taurian energy, and today happens to be a full moon in Taurus. The hummingbird is a lighter, walking between worlds energy. And so we're getting this sort of grounded energy and this elevated energy as we do exactly what we just spoke about. Integrating the worlds so that we don't have to walk between worlds, but that we're simultaneously experiencing all the levels of creation as one. I'm noticing myself getting very thirsty. Notice if maybe you need more water. I've got my turmeric coffee with me here today. But definitely after this energy, stay hydrated, get some electrolytes if you need them, and just be gentle with yourself and curious. I think this video raised a lot more internal questions in a really gentle and beautiful way than it actually gave answers, right? So this is an invitation today. And you can walk away from this knowing that you have everything you need to be yourself, to be completely grounded and stable, on purpose, on your path, and that it has nothing to do with what anybody else is doing in the world around you. It's completely soul-driven. And your only job is to create the space and the curiosity to let that in. And so let's close for today. Thank you so much for being here. Have a beautiful day. I love you.